Hello, I'm excited to have Marina Ivanov with us today with Apex Transit. She'll be the focus of our business spotlight interview today. I'm Brent Thompson with Action Coach Lake Norman. You're your local, let's see, what do we do? Training, education, and business coaching firm here in the Lake Norman area. So I'm going to give it over to Marina. Marina, if you'll just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you, a little bit about your company, if you would.
Sure. Thank you, Brent. I appreciate that. My name is Marina Ivanov. I'm the operations manager and the co-founder of Apex Transit. We are an asset-based transportation provider. It means we have trucks and trailers. So there's a lot of logistics providers that are intermediary, they're in between, but we do a little bit of both. We are the in-between. We can connect you with other trucks, but we actually are the ones who have the assets. And so started the company with my husband about 12 years ago now. And we started off with one owner operator, one person, and added a few more trucks and grew to 80 trucks over the last 10 years. Very proud of all that we have accomplished. Obviously, couldn't have done it without our team, but it's been quite a growth journey to get to where we are now.
Yes, and we will hit on some of that. And that's awesome. Congratulations on your success and your growth. And sounds like you're still just getting started. If you had to start from square one in business all over again, what are some things that you think you do differently?
There's so many. It's hard to just pick a few. How much time do you have, Brent?
As long as you get all on you, as long as you want to go.
Yeah, I think what I would do most differently is understand how important it is to utilize technology sooner. So there's many things that I've done through the paper and pen and that spreadsheet kind of model where by the time I got into the process of getting the technology to help me utilize and improve my processes, it was already a tedious task to convert everything. So just from the beginning to start off saying, this is what I need to do to grow. And this is the tools that I will have to eventually get, and getting them from the beginning. And also understanding vision and goal setting. We kind of literally just started off with one truck and had no idea to where we wanted to grow. We're like, let's see where this thing goes. And if we had the vision of growing to 100 trucks, I would have operated very differently from day one. And because there would have been that kind of like a long-term mindset already.
Yeah.
And so that would be probably what I would do differently for sure, is just set more goals and vision from the beginning. We kind of started the truck and just kept running and operating it for a while, and then went back and said, what is our goal? What kind of company do we want to be? And we fell into our brand. We created it by accident through all the happy mistakes, but I wish I had avoided those mistakes and have created that from the beginning.
No, that's good. That kind of leads into my next question. So 12 years in business, sounds like you've had a lot of lessons, as we all do in business. But what do you think if you can nail down maybe one or two of your biggest learnings? You've touched on a couple already, but maybe expound on a couple things that this is really what I learned, and these are my biggest learnings that's kind of helped me propel myself forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest, like right now, I'm taking the lesson that has the most impact for me at this moment. Is just because this is a family-owned business. We were in it with my brother-in-law and my husband. So the three of us were partners at one point. And so one thing I learned is really not to take things as personally. I did take things very personally because it felt like it was my baby. And understanding that it's business, that things are not going to go right. And when someone is telling you something that there needs improvement, don't take it like it's on you, like you're a bad parent for raising a bad child. It's just a process that needs improvement. And that has been so freeing for me to let go of that constant kind of battle and defensiveness. So that's from the growth perspective, that has been huge for me. Just don't take it personally. Do everything that you can to improve the business. That's probably the biggest lesson that has the most impact for me right now. And then another lesson would be to, in terms of people, sometimes it took me a long time to let go of people and, hire much slower than I have been. I get really excited. I connect with people. I'm like, oh my God, you're going to be a great fit. Welcome. And then I don't do my due diligence and sort of the references and taking the time in the hiring process, making that a slower process and making my firing process a little bit quicker. Sometimes because I take it personally and I care about the people, I hold on to them a little bit too long. And, that has ended up costing me valuable time and resources where I could have had somebody on my team, especially as we grow and we get more different people. Because at first you're hiring within your inner circle of people that like, hey, do you know anybody who needs a job? And then you train them. But when you hire people who are experts in that field, and all of a sudden they come in and they actually make processes better, they improve the flow of things, you're like, oh, I wish I would have done this sooner. But probably the lesson is that hire experts in their field, invest in them, they're worth every penny.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's kind of a common thread I'm hearing lately is a lot of team, everything you just said,
Mhm.
at those conversations. So perfect.
Yeah.
So 12 years in business, I'm sure you've had a lot of people that have had these misconceptions about what it is to be a business owner. What are
Mhm.
some of those misconceptions you maybe heard over the years, and how do you combat those?
Yeah, my favorite is when the people choose to start their own businesses because they want to spend more time with their family, or they want more free time. I always kind of laugh when I hear that and chuckle a little bit because it's just the misconception is like, oh, I get to be my own boss and I get to determine my time. I would highly ask someone if they're wanting to start a business for that to reevaluate their where they're at, because it's not like that at all. Like there's so much sweat equity that goes into opening up your own business where you're on all the time. And my husband and I raised two girls during this process as well. So I was a working mom, and at times I felt like I was a single mom because my husband was out. He was doing all the maintenance on the trucks and he did a lot of driving, so he's on the road. I was doing all the people things. So hiring people, paying people, managing them. And so there's times where, I'm picking up the kids from school and they're crying in the background, but I'm making a phone call with that driver, or I'm hiding in the closet because I need to make this higher. And it's even if it's after hours, if that's when the driver is available, that's when I'm going to talk to them. So there's not these set hours, 9 to 5. Your business is a 24/7 job. You get calls in the middle of the night, the truck break down, or there's an accident. So you have to be on all the time. And sometimes it's like a disease because I'll go on vacation. I'm like, I just gotta check my email. I just gotta check my email. It's like, God, I just can't let it go sometimes. It becomes part of you, and it becomes your identity, and you get really wrapped up in it. So that's the misconception, that you think you'll have this like, really free and easy life, and you can choose your schedule when you can work, but that's so not true.
No, so huge. It's a huge misconception. And we'll circle back to a couple of things you just said. But first, so you guys have gone from one truck up into 80 trucks, I believe is what you said. What do you attribute that growth to? Just the growth of the business and maybe even growth as a business owner?
Absolutely. The growth that we attributed to is just the relentless drive to keep going, to keep like, let's see, like there's a potential, there's an opportunity that we see that there's freight to be hauled and there's trucks that are needed. Why not us, right? There's opportunities for other folks to grow. What makes us so different that we can't get to that level? So it's the vision. Like once we determine that the vision of where we want to be a 100 truck company. That's where it was like, all right, well, there's no other option. It's the goals and the vision that has driven us to be where we are at. And might, times when that things are hard, we might slow down and grow slower, but eventually we get to that point. And so I think that's the most critical piece that we've had, that relentless drive and the pursuit of that goal, because it's what's driving us. If we'd said we're comfortable with it now and we're here, we're fine, it kind of becomes plateaus.
Mhm. No, so good. All right, I'm gonna circle back just a touch. You talked about raising two girls, you and your husband raising two girls while raising a business at the
Yeah.
same time. So work-life balance, we hear about it a lot. You kind of alluded to it's not really in balance all that much sometimes, but you know, it's a fight. So what do you guys do to have some kind of semblance of work-life balance for the girls as you grow this company as well?
Absolutely. So in the beginning stages, it was non-existent. It was just just survival mode. There was no plan B. We put everything, all of our eggs into this basket and all of our savings into making sure that this company succeeded. So whatever needed to be done, it was done. There were situations where my husband got called out of my daughter's fourth birthday party, and that's because there was an accident on the scene and he needed to be there. Those are the kind of sacrifices that we made in order to live the life that we have now, which, right now we have a lot more people who can help us. At that time, I didn't have a safety director. Now I do. So she gets those phone calls in the middle of the night now. So it's just in the beginning, understanding, like buckling up and saying that there might not be a balance for a little bit, but I will get to that point where I hire the folks and I create a team that will give me that work-life balance back. So now that we have a great team and people I can trust, I can leave on vacation a little bit easier. Having an assistant helps as well, and just finding those solutions where it's not always has to be you. You're not always have to be on call. And of course, a family now that the girls are 12 and 8, they are really cognizant of how much time you spend with them. So the time that we do spend with them is really precious. So it's, it's very quality time. I like to take them out on little individual dates, and we'll spend family time biking and or just going on little adventures, making that a priority as well. And giving the time that we do give them is very much it's a really laser focused time on them. I'm here with you. If there's a dire emergency, they'll call me. If not, somebody else will handle the smaller problems.
Good. That's I just had one of those weekends myself. So very, very good stuff there. And that kind of leads into my next thing too. So you talked about you didn't have employees and now, or very many, and now you do have some people to help you. So when you're hiring, you mentioned some struggle there in the past with, just how to do that, when and what and how. What do you think now as far as hiring goes? What do you look for in an employee? Like traits, qualities, what's something that sticks out or things that stick out to you when you're hiring someone?
Absolutely. I love and hate hiring. It's like, it's my favorite thing to do. And it's also one of the hardest things to do. Sometimes you just get it. A person comes into your lap or falls into your lap and you're just like, this is perfect. Excellent. Let's go. And there's times where you're unsure. And so those are the times you got to really listen to your gut. And a lot of times you just know it's crazy. Over the years, I've learned that the people who worked out for me are the ones that I didn't have to explain or excuse away something in their past, in their resume, in their interview, or in their references. It just worked. Whenever you're trying to find excuses for why, well, because you need a warm body or you need somebody in the seat. So you just want to, instead of doing the hard work of going through all those interviews and figuring it out. One of the best things I have learned in the interview process is to actually have a working interview for as much as I can. If this is just a person comes in, I'll pay them. It's an extra expense. But once they have paid, like once they have gone to, I only have one or two or three candidates, I would say that are really good and I can't decide between the two of them. I'll bring them in and have them work half a day. So depending on the position, if it's the dispatcher role, I'll actually give them phone calls. I'll give them real life scenarios. I'll be that customer that's upset. I'll be the driver that's not happy with their load, and I'll see how they react. I know it's a little bit of acting, but it's just how do they act under pressure? Because if they're in a pressure role, they need to be able to handle that as I'm doing them. I'll communicate with them back and forth as a customer through email just to see how their grammar and how their email communication style is. I'll really vet them properly, and I always take my interviews out for lunch in the final interview and get to know them personally. And this is where I love psychology. So I get deep into like, what drives you? What are your values? I open up a little bit. I ask them, I'm working on this personally. What are you working on? I'm looking for people who are growth minded, who are working on themselves, want to improve. So if I can catch that, I know that these are coachable people. They're going to be a good addition to the team, and it works. So, and they've been the best employees.
No, that's perfect. Good answer there. And as far as like just creating and just maintaining a positive work environment and culture, what are some things that you guys do in your company to foster that?
Yeah, it's really simple. And when times, depending on the market, right? When we, on the trucking industry, we had a great market in 21 and 22, and we were able to spend a lot more resources on team building. Now that that's not the case, so you always kind of have to depend on, you have to see where you're at, right? So right now, at that time, we were doing a lot of team building events. So it was fun. We had an office that was really active. So we signed up for Spartan obstacle courses, savage races, and had done a weekend up in the mountains with the team, rented Airbnb, and had like a really wonderful kind of team building exercises that we did there. Now that we don't have the budget for that, one of the things that we can do is just really simple things like acknowledging someone's birthday, bringing out lunch once in a while into the office, just being a good person and understanding of what someone's going through, having the time to hear folks out, and understanding that when there are folks who are not happy and creating a toxic atmosphere, that's where we're talking about firing faster and slower. That's where it's like, you know what, if these folks are hurting everyone else and their productivity and their environment, then if they're not coachable anymore, you have to part ways. And that's one of the hard lessons that I learned, because it's just people want to come to work, no drama. They want to be able to get their job. Everyone needs to work. We all have jobs that we need to complete. And it's just where you work is so important. People will come and work for me for less because I have a better environment than somewhere else where it's just so much stress, where there's constant negativity, where there's micromanagement, or a manager or boss that's constantly harping, being disrespectful, or just the yelling, or all of that. You'd be surprised, but it still happens a lot, where people think that for some reason it's okay to treat our employees like they're children, to yell at them, to disrespect them. That's not okay. So that's the first thing that I tell every one of my employees or contractors that work with us. I let them know that respect is the number one value I have. Everyone deserves respect here. No matter if you're a driver or you're the owner, we're all the same, equal. We're all equal in God's eyes, and we deserve the same amount of respect. Like, we might not be doing the same jobs, but we're the same human beings. So in that sense, if you're coming at me with this respect, which I don't have a lot, honestly, but if that happens, those are the issues that I take very seriously, to foster that culture of respect, right? Of like, and then once a person feels respected, valued, and appreciated, then they're more productive. And it doesn't take a lot of money and team building events to do that. It's just the simple things that you do in the office, where you show up, you say good morning, good job, you did great on that. It's those little things that go a long way.
Yeah, just examples, giving good examples is a huge thing that we do there. So that's awesome. All right, we're wrapping up. So just a couple more things. So you and your husband started this business. So for the aspiring entrepreneurs out there that are ready to jump into starting their own business, you've given good advice already, but what would be some advice that you would give that guy or gal ready to jump in?
Yeah, go all in, go all in. Like, this is just jump all in. Don't think about what if this, I'm just going to try this and see if it doesn't work out. Like, that kind of mentality is what causes a lot of people to to not lose, but just to get out of the business, if I would say it. Or it's hard. It's going to be a lot of hard work at first, but it's really worth it. There's such a sense of accomplishment when it's yours, when you're working for yourself, even though you're working nights, you're working harder. Like right now, I'm working through my lunch because I had a really busy Monday. I'm taking bites and writing emails, and just, doing the best that I can. And sometimes I'll skip lunch, and sometimes there's like long nights, but there's just so much, like, I don't know if I'm explaining properly, but there's this sense of satisfaction and fulfillment that comes from, like, this is mine. I'm working for myself. I'm working to build it up. There's nothing greater. It's worth all the sacrifices. You heard me talking about, all the negative things, but there's also so many positives. And one of the things I can also give as advice is to reach out to people, find a mentor, get a support group. I wish I had coaches or mentor earlier. I did invest in a coach earlier this year, and that has helped tremendously in my mindset and understanding the value that we bring. It was more for the sales side of the business, but investing into the folks who know what they're doing is worth it.
Yes. No, great advice there. And then lastly, we'll wrap it up with this. If anyone needs to find you, get in touch with you, what is the best way for them to do that?
Probably on my LinkedIn. That's where I'm the most active. We do have a social, an Instagram called Apex Transit, Apex Dash Transit. I would love for you to come and follow. We'll post some of my some fun reels and great information what's happening in the industry. But on my LinkedIn is where I have all of my speaking engagements. I've gotten really involved with the North Carolina Trucking Association and the advocacy work. So what I do is we do calls in Washington, and we are trying to promote the industry. We're trying to make help people see that the trucker next to you is not the big bad trucker. You know, that's someone that's delivering your goods. They need rest. They need ample truck parking. One of the things that I'm also the chairperson of the Women in Trucking Committee for the association, and that has been an incredibly fulfilling role for me because we're putting on workshops, we're putting on summits that help inspire, educate, and empower women in this industry, because we are still a minority, and this is still very much a heavily male dominated industry, and we're trying to show that as women we have a lot to offer as well. So that's my passion right now. But if you follow me on LinkedIn, I post a lot of on that and on there.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that last part as well. And thank you for being part of our community and everything that you guys are doing just in small business in general. And we wish you continued success.
Thank you, Brent. I appreciate that.
You got it.